There are towns in America where you have to scrap just to survive, where the median income of a family barely reaches $200,000 a year, and folks are forced to live from dividend to dividend, never knowing where their next yacht might be coming from. What becomes of a man who struggles through life in a town like this? He becomes Mitt Romney. Bloomfield Hills, Michigan is the kind of place where people treat each other right, where if you're shouting at a limousine driver for taking the wrong route to your private airstrip, you actually address him by name. But let's not assume all was easy street for one Mitt Romney.
People say that Mitt grew up privileged just because his father was a wealthy CEO of a car company who went on to become a governor and then worked for President Nixon. But Mitt didn't even enter prep school until the 7th grade.
From a young age, little Mitt knew that the world needed his help. Whether he was forcibly cutting the hair of a possibly gay classmate, or leading a visually impaired teacher into a door.
Well, yes, those youthful hijinks did happen, and you know, people thought Mitt was a heartless prankster. But the truth is, he was just trying to help. How else are you supposed to cure a blind person if you aren't constantly reminding them how blind they are? And what if that possibly homosexual young man needed that haircut but couldn't afford it? Ever considered that?
One of my favorite stories about Mitt is from when we were kids. I was riding in the country. I love horses. And I was on my horse, and I was just riding through the country. And there was this little group of boys. All of a sudden, they started throwing rocks at me. And when Mitt and I were dating later, I figured out it was him. Of course, now I realize he was just trying to teach me how to stay on my horse. Which I didn't. Because a rock hit me.
Youthful hijinks as a youngster and at prep school. But then, university beckoned. During his college days at Stanford, the young Mitt showed his patriotism by protesting against the communists, beatniks, and other social degenerates who questioned our country's involvement in Vietnam. Mitt would have fought in the war himself, but sometimes serving your country means staying the hell out of the way. Mitt took his fight to the other Vietnam, Paris, France, where he stood on the front line of the battle to convert French people to Mormonism. When Mitt came back to America, he returned to school and married the love of his life, Anne. But things were not always so easy during those first lean years.
I think back to college and just... neither one of us had jobs. Mitt had enough of an investment from stock that we could sell off a little at a time, but we were living on the edge. The $60,000 we had just wasn't much. Even if you adjust for inflation, that's still just under $400,000. We could only afford 3 or 4 cars. And more than once, I ate tuna fish that came in a can. Did you know that they put tuna fish in cans? Yeah, it's true. And I ate it.
After graduating from Harvard with 2 degrees, Mitt went on to serve America in the most patriotic way he knew how, by entering the private equity industry.
Mitt was CEO of Bain Capital when we took over a paper manufacturing company called Ampad. That was one of Bain's big success stories. We drove Ampad's debt from $11 million to nearly $400 million and put the company and its workers totally out of business. But in the process, the executives at Bain made $100 million in fees. Man. Yeah, a lot of people lost their jobs, sure. But the golfing trips to Pebble Beach and the yachts we got from our bonuses that year.
Are you okay?
I just really miss the 80s.
After years at Bain Capital, Mitt Romney had amassed a fortune of millions. And in 1994, he decided to do something positive with it. Destroy beloved Massachusetts Senator Ted Kennedy. Romney spent over $3 million of his own money trying to steal the Liberal Lion's Senate seat. When MA voters said NO to Mitt, he took that as a sign and doubled down, spending $6.3 million more of his own money running for governor of Massachusetts. And this time, it worked. Once ensconced as governor, Mitt put partisan politics aside to work with Ted Kennedy, passing a sweeping healthcare bill that directly influenced Obama's clearly communistic exact copy.
Mitt loved being governor. He may have left Massachusetts with a massive debt and a ranking of 47th in job creation, but as a result, Massachusetts got tough. Go Massachusetts!
And the tough love kept coming. In 2008, when America's auto industry toppled on the brink of extinction, Mitt knew just what to say to comfort the Motor City and our nation. Let Detroit go bankrupt, Mitt wrote in a New York Times op-ed. If General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler get the bailout that their chief executive asked for yesterday, you can kiss the American automotive industry goodbye. Of course, after accepting socialistic welfare from the American people, the auto industry is now thriving and thousands are back to work. Some might say Mitt Romney was wrong, but that person wouldn't be Mitt Romney.
So I'll take a lot of credit for the fact that this industry's come back.
As he should, because credit is not something you earn. Credit is something you give yourself. Nobody knows that better than Mitt Romney. So, who is Mitt Romney today?
What I love about Mitt is that despite everything we've been through, his heart is always in the right place.
I'm not concerned about the very poor.
Not so concerned about the very poor. But he is concerned with people.
Corporations are people, my friend.
People who are actually corporations. That is, unless a person who is not a corporation happens to be losing their home.
Don't try and stop the foreclosure process. Let it run its course and hit the bottom.
Yes, Mitt Romney cares about all people, as long as they're corporations who are not very poor or trying to save their family home, and as long as they're not gay.
Marriage is a relationship between one man and one woman.
Or a woman who'd like to make her own decisions about her body.
Do I believe Supreme Court should overturn Roe v. Wade? Yes.
Principle, duty, conservative values. The man from Bloomfield Hills will always have the taste of caviar in his mouth and the smell of freshly opened tennis ball cans in his nostrils. He knows we can make America great again by making all rich people richer and by saying tough cookies to the haters. There's something in the air. Just take a walk down the avenues of Bloomfield Hills, and before security asks you to leave, you'll hear it. That's the sound.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies
of Mitt Romney's America.
Of grain, for purple mountains' majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his